Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming to watch another video. I actually got to the very end of commentating the first time around and I noticed that there were a lot of cuts that needed to be made that I just missed, I guess, on initial editing. So here's take two, the professional version. You are welcome. To get started, I wanted to include the pencil sketch in this video. I feel like a lot of my videos I start off with there is a pencil under drawing. That part is now done. So I just wanted to show that part of the process, including the giant cat attack. He's always getting involved whenever I sit down in that drawing room, so there he is. Now you can also see on the bottom left I have a reference photo of my own face. Got my fuzzy cheek there. I'm a bit torn on reference photos. I tend to use them as a crutch, so if I'm drawing a bird that I'm not familiar with, or I'm trying to draw some hand, or maybe a person wearing a hood or something like that, really anything, I'll look at a reference photo, and oftentimes I'll find myself just kind of like trying to copy that to paper, which is fine, that's good practice, but I lean on it too often, and I sometimes don't make my own pose with it or try it out, so what I'm hoping to do is move towards a more natural use of references. Basically, look at the pattern on a bird, or look at the way cloth falls, or something like that, or how shadows will appear on the material, and using that, move forward and make your own pose or your own character. I can kind of avoid that whole moral question if I just take a picture myself. So this time I took a selfie and I was going to use that picture to get an idea of what the face would look like in proportion or in perspective. So this is not really going to be a good way to learn how to draw a head or a human face. It's trying to run before I can walk, kind of, which is fine by me. I wasn't looking to draw an entire character. I had a very specific idea of what I wanted to make, so my whole goal was just this section of the face that was the eyeballs, bridge of the nose, and then not even the top of the head or the chin or anything. I wanted to cut it off, put it in a rectangle, hoping to make a sticker out of it or something like that, and that is my excuse for not practicing human facial anatomy, and I believe in it 100%, so I'm going to stick with it. Now, the perspective like this is one that I think is the most interesting. I think that just complete side view or full on front view of the face would be easier to learn where everything is at, but the 3/4 view it feels so much more dynamic. You're only drawing part of one eye, and to be fair, it also feels a bit easier to cheat eye symmetry, just because it's a very difficult thing to draw two symmetrical eyes. So why am I just scribbling here? Well, I have this fountain pen that I use for the drawing, and I wanted to use it with new ink. When you get this fountain pen, I got mine for Christmas. It comes with a couple of stock cartridges that the company sends along with it, and I felt sometimes it dried kind of gray, and it took too long to set, so I'd accidentally smear it. And these really could just be technique issues on my part. Like if it dries gray, maybe I'm not putting the proper pressure, and if it smears, it's just going to be my clammy hands running over fresh ink. So if you do get this pen, then it's the ink's fine. But in any case, I thought I want to get new ink, so I go to the art store and I take the cartridge out of the pen and I put in the new cartridge I just bought at the art store that I think will fix all my problems. And it won't go in, so I'm pushing it with a lot of pressure, waiting for a click. It's basically a plastic cartridge that clicks directly into your fountain pen, and I can't get it, and at a certain point I start fearing that I'm going to ruin my pen, break whatever is meant to break the seal of these cartridges. So before I go any further, I went ahead and pulled the cartridge out and thought, I'm going to use my compass, the little circle drawing tool, to pierce the seal, and I'll just be able to put it in, won't have to break the seal. It'll feed right through to the fountain pen. Spoiler alert, this did not work. take my compass and I start jamming it into the seal, and eventually I push it so hard the seal does break, and I guess they're pressurized or something, because it shoots directly into my eye and covers the entire right side of my face. And for a brief moment, it's like, okay, I'm going to die or I'm blind forever now. So I get up from my desk, run over to the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and the entire right socket area of my face is completely painted black, and my eye was wide open when this happened. So open my eye, kind of force it open because I'm scared of what it'll look like, and it's covered in ink. I've got gray, cloudy, black splotches all over my eyeball. So go to the kitchen, run it under the faucet. It doesn't burn or anything. I'm not sure if ink is made to be safe for the eyeball, but I just rinse it out for about 5 minutes or so, and good as new. So that's what was going on with the scribbles. I took out the old cartridge and I was trying to run it out so I could put the new one in. And then shortly after that, I shot myself in the eye with an exploding ink cartridge. Now, this is the idea that I had that I'm kind of putting into play on screen right now. I wanted this pupilless, monstrous type pale being looking into this black void. My original idea was to put in stars using a white marker or a white colored pencil. That didn't really work out to my expectation for a couple of reasons, but I also wanted the person to have bleeding eyes and be sort of horrific. For the blood, I thought, I'll put in some white spots there to be shiny. Also, getting a lot of my hair in this video, so you're welcome for that. Put in a couple white spots on the blood to, reflect light, make it more than just, running mascara or something like that, I guess. I don't know. And I was kind of pleased with it. I did it a couple times. I have 3 versions of this drawing, and I'll talk about all 3 at the end. But for now, this one I had creepy eyelashes, which was not intentionally creepy. It's just me trying to draw eyelashes, and it worked out like that. And the blood, I think, was good, if not a little thick. There's a point where I went ahead and put some across the bottom eyelid to show that it was tearing up and kind of welling on the bottom like it would. I was thinking of how I would get reference for this, and I was talking to my girlfriend, and I'm like, I'm going to have to Google bloody eyes. She's like, well, how about you just Google crying people and pretend it's bloody? So she saved me a lot of trouble there. Putting a box around it, like I said, I wanted this to be a sticker and a rectangular one because my last one was a circle. So I'm just kind of boxing it off here to make sure that I don't go out further than I want to as far as detail on the skin or with the black space to the left. Filling out the nose and the bridge of the nose, and I've got some contour lines, putting blood on the other eyeball now. And I filled out the nose on the bottom and stuff, A, for practice, and B, just kind of, it just felt right to do. Even though I was just drawing the eye and I wasn't doing the top of the head or anything, it would have felt weird to try and visualize this all just floating in space. So put it in there, erase it off the final product, but I think it was helpful. One thing that I did not like about this first version and what kind of led me to do a second version was these thinner strands of blood. At first I'm like, oh yeah, I want to switch up the line length or line width and weight and make it seem like a couple different rivers of blood are coming down. But it kind of just looks like hair, and it's still gross and everything, but not gross in the way I wanted. Eyebrows coming in. With eyebrows and hair in general, I feel like I was here, doing the full strand, every detail is a trap. It'll look bad, and it'll be way too much work. So I went ahead and did every strand anyway, and I feel like it kind of paid off. It made it creepier, it made it a little uncomfortable and kind of a gross texture. Not saying that hair is a gross texture, but when you really look at it and it's all these little things, it's a bit unnatural when you try and draw it. So I'm going to go ahead and claim my mistake here as a victory. It's the same exact thing that led to the eyelashes being a little creepy. Yeah, filling out the crow's feet. This is one of those things, if you're drawing or if you have a creative process or doing anything at all and you have the thought like, oh, I'm going to try putting this in, and then you do it and you immediately think, okay, that was horrible, but I have too much time invested here. So I'm just going to continue on. That it was what went on with the crow's feet on the right side of the drawing. I just really wish I could take it back. Jump into a different page here to test out some markers. I wasn't really sure how I wanted to make everything black on the left side of the drawing, but I don't have any black acrylic, and I didn't have, or I thought I didn't have, the ink I was looking for, so I thought, aha, I'll use this brush pen. The brush pen did not work. It's felt tip, and it's really nice for lines and everything, but when I'm piling it on top of itself like this, by the end it's really apparent where the strokes are, and it just kind of looks messy, and I really wasn't happy. So I was kind of pillaging my art supplies, and I found a little jar of ink, or perhaps a ink simulant or something like that. I open it up, and it's basically the oils and the pigments are separated, or something weird is going on in this little jar, but I think I'll mix it up and I'll slap it on and it'll be good as new. It wasn't. You'll see after I put all this on and the streaks are evident, I cover it up with this ink that I'm talking about, and it's nice and glossy at first, but the way it dries, it makes the paper super leathery and this really weird material. It doesn't destroy the paper. It doesn't pill it up like if you were working with watercolor, but it does not dry attractively, and that comes through on the scan. So basically, to fix it would require photoshopping a section to make it look just like a normal black instead of this weird leather material that it ends up being. I don't know how to describe it. Hopefully it's visual enough to see that it's kind of changing. It's like alchemy or something. It's weird. But yeah, so that is really what's going on with this drawing now. I think that a good way to cap off a drawing, because right now I finish up the painting, I think, oh, that's fine, but bordering it is the secret weapon, putting a little box around it. So I go ahead and take out my handy dandy fountain pen and box it off. I also put a lot more detail on the face, just like wrinkles, skin lines, texture stuff. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I was kind of hoping I would find it along the way, and I think to some degree I do. It's effective in looking creepy and kind of gross. I mostly was focusing on how do I make the nose appear protruding and not just this flat thing like it was, and I will say I think I achieved that, but some of the other lines are a bit unnecessary. Would have been better off leaving them pale or just completely unaccounted for, I guess. But yeah, bordering her up. Now, as I look at this, I think if I just put a few sparing lines on the bottom right, the cheek, and a few more on the forehead, it would have worked out, or it would have been a little better at least. I like to kind of bring the videos back down to 100% speed, so that whole thing was just running at, I think it was 400, and now here's the speed it was going at the whole rest of the time, and there we go. So I do want to talk real quickly about, you'll see in the scan, the finished product, I erased all that stuff. I'm going to talk real quickly about the other two versions, which should be popping up on your screen after number 1. Yeah, in the scan you can really see that weird leathery texture. Number 2, I went a lot heavier on hatching. I didn't use the fountain pen for it, but I went to a very small technical pen. And then I forget what I did for the black. I think it was just a Sharpie, which worked out better, in my opinion, better than the paint type thing. I'm sure if I had an actual ink, it would give me what I'm looking for. But yeah, I went heavier on hatching, which, if you read Watchmen, this looks like Dr. Manhattan to me, kind of. I think it's just a no-pupil, bald guy thing, but I'm not unhappy about it. And I think being able to put a little more weight in specific sections to show depth was good, but at first I liked the second one more, but now I think I like the first one more. I did try and capture the magic one more time with a third version. I went lighter on the hatching, and I don't know. I like it. I think technically it's the best one. I had the most practice, but something about the first one was just more frantic and more horrific. So I think of all of them, I like the first one more. I just have to figure out what to do about that weird paint texture. I don't know. I'm sure something will come up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please give a comment or like or consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.